So I've been bullet journaling for 2.5 years using super minimal but effective spreads. I'm going to share my most current setup and how I've streamlined simple systems to build new habits, work toward my goals, and organize my life. I'm still using the second bullet journal edition of the Leuchtturm 1917 along with the waterproof Micron PN and my cheap 6-inch ruler. Besides learning that it's much easier to put the pen through the loop with the cap off, nothing new in this department. Actually, I lied. I've been forgetting to mention that I've been using this Sharpie S-Gel pen for the longest time for stuff like thought dumping to save my Micron ink. Long story short, it's not waterproof for my sweaty hands, but it writes like Kawaguchi on ice. Also, I almost forgot to mention stickers. Stickers actually play a big part in keeping my journal simple. I love using them for both practical and aesthetic reasons, like covering up horrendous mistakes or sensitive information, marking special pages, or just for pure enjoyment. The new part in this department is that I've started making my own to share my love for stickers with you guys. My annual setup remains the same with 6 months spaced as columns, but I saw this version from Mr. Bullet Journal Mastermind where the whole year can fit on one spread and you just log in the important dates. I think I might like that better because I run into some problems with spacing if things fall on the same day. Otherwise, I use this page to hold future events to be transferred over into my daily spread when the time comes. When I finished my first journal, I was like, wow, an index would have been useful. So I vowed to use it more this year.
But I just wanted to state that I'll be using this time around.
As you can see, I still don't care to update this, and honestly, I think that setting up your index at the end of the year is a good journaling exercise anyway. Okay, so a lot of things have changed in this part of my bullet journal, so let's start with the left side. I have the days of the month listed with a supplement tracker, my luck log, and my habit tracker for working out and eating out. At the bare minimum, I use this part of my journal every single day. So to start new habits, I use the habit stacking technique. When I open my bullet journal, I will take my probiotic. As simple as this seems, when I was trying to start this new habit, my mind was imploding trying to figure out if I had already taken the supplement for that day or not, so I decided to mark this in my journal. To reinforce this new habit, I kept the supplements at eye level near two things I use almost every morning, my kettle and the vacuum. If I hadn't looked at my journal yet, using one of these things would cue me to take the supplement, then get me to use my journal, and vice versa.
It's probiotic time!
Also, you don't have to track everything to make it a habit. I use this sticker with a little message to subliminally get myself to wash my face at night more consistently, and it definitely helped. All this to say, you can create a trifecta of habits that reinforce each other using your journal and your environment to create what I'll call a habit loop. Alright, so I'm not super thrilled about my progress for my eating out and working out tracker, so this has moved from my daily spread to the monthly one to keep track of what days this went on at a glance and maybe give me more insight. More importantly, it's right next to my goals. I tried mood tracking for a bit after I was intrigued by a simple setup suggestion by ChatGPT. But to be honest, I didn't think the way I was recording it was really helpful because it was tedious to extract meaning from it, so I just decided to stop doing this for now. But at the same time, I've also started rapid logging. But more on this later. As for practicing gratitude, or what I'll call luck logging, I've learned a more beneficial way to go about this. Apparently, it might be better to try to never repeat things you list so that you end up seeking things to be grateful for instead of going with the defaults like good weather, close parking, and Fridays. This ended up being true for me because I found myself being grateful for subtle things that might have been taken for granted. This is especially nice for finding silver linings on my bad days. On the right side, I have 4 spaces for my goals and values, my monthly reflection, thoughts, and my to-dos. This section has had some rearranging and revising since I've started, and it will probably continue to evolve as life changes. Having my goals and values as the first box helps me keep my focus on what really matters and what I want to be working towards. Having the monthly reflection right after that gets me to review and evaluate my progress, but in a quick, condensed way. After that, my thoughts and ideas trickle in here as the month goes on, and my to-dos take up the last box.
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Ever since having this most current setup, I've looked into being more intentional with moving toward my goals by trying new strategies. This includes writing better goals that have intrinsic value and keep me internally motivated. And by better, I actually mean smarter goals. For example, I will eat out no more than 4 times a month starting this month. Not super exciting, but the thought of saving money to hit other goals is. There's way more to unpack here as these are just the basics, but I'm gonna make a future video on this with all the deets. I'll leave a link below that explains this more in case you don't want to wait for that video. I recognize this might seem like a lot going on to some people that are just starting out, but these are all things I've added on over time. I suggest not trying to add on too many things at once because it can get cray-cray and overwhelming. Also, as I've shown with the mood tracker, you're not married to any system, especially if it's no longer serving you. So don't feel bad about breaking it off and waiting for something better to come along. This is my daily setup. It's used just like a calendar, and it's where I transfer everything over from the annual setup. But its most powerful purpose is for planning out a maximum of 3 daily highlights. Down on this side, I have another copy of achievement goals and habit goals that I want to prioritize for the month. In theory, keeping these carefully constructed goals where I can see them every day will hopefully help make my daily highlights relevant to each of them. If an event or to-do doesn't serve one of these things or recharge my brain battery, it probably shouldn't be a highlight and go onto the to-do throne instead. So one of the key features of the original bullet journal method is rapid logging. The point of this is to summarize your daily life in a super concise way so that you can go back and study yourself to help with self-awareness. Its suggested use is to log in your daily tasks, events, notes, and thoughts to be rolled over each day or let go of. But I ended up using it for everything but my daily highlights because it helps me prioritize better with the way I showed earlier. At first, I was doing this in quadrants, but then I figured I'd save some pages and just split the page in half and went down each column. I treat this as part of my free pages and write in stuff in between like YouTube notes, journaling exercises, thought dumping, and whatever else makes its way in there. It usually takes less than a minute, and I don't really see how this won't be helpful, but we'll see. What I'll guess is that I'm probably gonna have some good stuff to look at later on down the line and giggle at some of the shit that's relevant now that won't matter later, or be key in making decisions based on my rapidly logged in history. I think the reason I didn't add this in sooner is because it just didn't have a place in my life, and I'm still not sure if it's gonna stay, and that's okay. Like starting any other new system, I'm just gonna have to be really patient to see what comes of it. But if you want to see other versions of my old setups or how I improve my self-awareness using my bullet journal, check these out. TTYL. Dude, what is wrong with me?